Dr. Nathan Gray couldn't believe what he was seeing on his monitor. The energy signature was unlike anything he had ever detected before. It was moving toward our solar system at an incredible speed. "Lisa, you need to see this," he said, calling over Commander Lisa Daniels, who was visiting the Lunar Research Station that day. Lisa leaned over his shoulder, her face illuminated by the blue glow of the screen. "What am I looking at, Nathan?" "Something not from Earth, not from anywhere near our system." That was how it began in 2089. Humanity's first contact with an alien species. Within 3 days, the object slowed down and took up orbit around the moon. It was a sleek vessel with strange markings along its hull. Earth governments scrambled to form a unified response team, with Commander Daniels appointed as humanity's representative. The first communication came as a series of mathematical sequences, which Dr. Gray quickly decoded into a basic language protocol. The aliens called themselves the Zethkar, a spacefaring race that served as scouts for something they called the Galactic Concordat. "We come in peace," their message translated. "We seek to evaluate your species for potential alliance." The world watched with a mixture of fear and wonder as Lisa Daniels stepped onto the landing pad where the alien ship had touched down in a controlled area of the Nevada desert. 3 tall, slender beings emerged from the ship. Their skin was pale blue with intricate patterns that seemed to shift with their movements. They had 4 arms and large, almond-shaped eyes that blinked vertically instead of horizontally. "On behalf of Earth, I welcome you," Lisa said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The tallest Zethkar stepped forward. "I am Chief Engineer Reltic. We bring greetings from the Concordat of 17 sentient species." Over the next 2 days, humanity learned about the vast network of civilizations that spanned the galaxy. The Zethkar explained that they had been monitoring Earth for decades, waiting until humans had developed sufficient technology to understand the concept of interstellar community. Dr. Gray and his team worked around the clock, learning as much as they could about Zethkar science. The aliens seemed particularly interested in human neural networks and brain function, which they said was uniquely developed compared to other species they had encountered. On the 3rd day, as Reltic was showing Lisa and Nathan a holographic map of Concordat territories, alarms blared from inside the alien ship. "We are being scanned," said another Zethkar, the navigator named Vensha. "Hostile approach detected." Before anyone could react, a dark, jagged ship appeared in the sky above them. It was at least 3 times the size of the Zethkar vessel. Without warning, it fired a purple beam of energy directly at the landed ship. "Voidborn," shouted Reltic as he pushed Lisa and Nathan away from the ship. "Run." The next few minutes were chaos. Earth Defense Forces opened fire on the attacking ship, but their weapons seemed to have no effect. The Zethkar vessel attempted to take off but was hit by another energy beam that sent it crashing back to the ground. The attacking ship broadcast a message that echoed across every communication channel on Earth. "Humanity has chosen sides in a war they cannot comprehend. The Voidborn Dominion will cleanse this mistake." Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the dark ship vanished, leaving behind the smoking wreckage of the Zethkar vessel. Of the 12 Zethkar crew members, only 3 survived: Reltic, Vensha, and their medical officer, Kruval. As emergency teams worked to contain the damage, Lisa helped the injured aliens from the burning wreckage. "I am sorry," Reltic said, his voice weak. "We have brought our war to your doorstep." "What were those things? What do they want?" Nathan asked, his face streaked with ash. "The Voidborn are the enemy of all life that refuses to submit," Vensha explained. "And now they know about Earth. They will return, and in greater numbers." As night fell over the Nevada desert, humanity faced a terrifying new reality. They were no longer alone in the universe, and they had just been pulled into an interstellar war. 6 months had passed since the attack. The wreckage of the Zethkar ship remained in the Nevada desert, now surrounded by a massive complex of research buildings and military installations. The world had changed overnight. Old enemies became allies in the face of an alien threat that could return at any moment. Colonel John Murphy walked through the secured entrance of the main research facility. His stern face and military bearing made junior scientists step aside as he passed. He had been chosen to lead the research team studying the crashed ship because of his background in both military strategy and engineering. "Give me some good news, Garcia," he said as he entered the main lab. Olivia Garcia looked up from a tangle of wires and alien tech. Sweat beaded on her forehead. She had been the top engineer at NASA before being recruited for this project. "The power core is still functional, sir, but it's operating at less than 2% capacity. Can we boost it?" "Not without understanding how it works first," she replied. In the corner of the lab, Raltic watched the humans work. The tall blue alien had recovered from his injuries, though one of his 4 arms remained in a sling. "Your species learns quickly," he said, moving closer. "But you are trying to harness technology that took my people centuries to develop." "We don't have centuries," Murphy said. "Your friends made sure of that." Raltic's vertical eyelids blinked slowly. "The Voidborn are not our friends, Colonel. And the ship you are trying to repair was carrying something special. Something that could change the tide of the war." This caught Murphy's attention. "What do you mean?" "Our vessel contained experimental phase shift technology. It allows matter to partially exist outside normal spacetime." Dr. Ryan Peters looked up from his computer. The young quantum physicist had been brought in 3 months ago after making a breakthrough in understanding the alien power systems. "That's impossible. The energy requirements would be astronomical." "For your current understanding of physics, yes," Raltic agreed, "but not for ours." Murphy turned to Peters. "Is this related to your quantum displacement theory?" Peters nodded slowly, his eyes wide. "I theorized something similar 5 years ago, but everyone said I was crazy." "If they've actually done it, show me," Murphy demanded. Raltic led them deeper into the wreckage of the ship, to a sealed compartment that the human scientists had been unable to open. He placed his hand on a panel, and it slid open, revealing a small pulsing orb suspended in a complex framework of unknown metals. "This is only a component of the full system," Raltic explained. "It was meant to be installed in a much larger vessel." Garcia approached the orb cautiously. "This thing was supposed to go in a bigger ship. What kind of ship?" Raltic hesitated. "The truth is, we were not merely scouts. We were delivering this prototype to a Concordat battle station. It is a weapon component." Murphy's eyes narrowed. "A weapon against the Voidborn?" "Yes, one that could change everything." As they discussed the implications, another scientist burst into the compartment. "Colonel, we just received word from the lunar station. They've detected multiple objects entering the outer solar system. The energy signatures match the Voidborn ship from the attack." Murphy turned to Raltic. "How long do we have?" Based on their typical approach vectors and speed, the alien calculated, "less than 8 Earth months before they reach your planet." Murphy looked at the team around him. "Then we have 7 months to figure this out. Peters, I want you working with Raltic on understanding the phase shift technology. Garcia, see if you can get more power to that core. And someone get me the plans for that orbital platform we were building before all this happened." "You mean the Liberty Station?" Garcia asked. "It's just a skeleton. Construction was only 30% complete when funding was cut. Now it has new funding," Murphy said firmly. "If we need a bigger ship for this weapon, we just found one." As the team dispersed to their tasks, a global announcement went out. Project Phoenix was now humanity's top priority. Every resource, every brilliant mind would be focused on one goal: turning alien wreckage into Earth's best hope for survival. 4 months into Project Phoenix, the mood in the main research facility was tense. Progress had been frustratingly slow. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, but connecting human technology with alien systems proved nearly impossible. Another failure. Olivia Garcia sighed as smoke rose from the circuit board. This was her 5th attempt today to create a stable connection between Earth metals and the Zethkar power core. Colonel Murphy rubbed his tired eyes. We're running out of time. The Voidborn fleet is past Jupiter now. Dr. Samantha Wells entered the lab, carrying a tablet. As the project's AI specialist, she had been quiet for weeks, barely leaving her office. But now she had a sparkle in her eyes. "I've got something," she said. "An interface that might help us talk to their systems." She connected her tablet to the alien console. Lines of code flashed across her screen, then translated into strange symbols. After a moment, the alien console lit up with a soft blue glow. "How did you do that?" Dr. Peters asked, moving closer. "I stopped trying to make our computers think like theirs," she explained. "Instead, I created a translation layer that converts our commands into something their systems understand." Raltic watched with interest. "Impressive. Your AI approach is different from ours, but effective." With Wells' interface working, the team made rapid progress. They could finally read the Zethkar ship's complete schematics and understand what the phase shift drive was truly designed to do. "This doesn't make sense," Murphy said, studying the holographic display. "According to these plans, the drive was meant for a ship at least 20 times larger than the scout vessel." Raltic exchanged glances with his fellow survivors, Vensha and Kruval. Finally, he spoke. "It is time for the full truth. Our scout ship was actually transporting a prototype weapon component to a Concordat battle station. The phase shift technology allows a ship to partially exist outside normal space, making it nearly impossible to hit with conventional weapons. And it can be weaponized," Vensha added. "A full-scale phase shift can disrupt the atomic bonds of any matter it passes through." The human team fell silent as they processed this information. "So we're not just building a defensive ship," Murphy said. "We're building a superweapon. If we can make it work," Garcia reminded everyone. She had been trying to connect human technology to the alien power systems with no success. Then, late one night, Garcia and Peters had their breakthrough. They were discussing the problem over coffee when Peters spilled his drink on a circuit board. "Wait," he said suddenly. "What if we're overthinking this? Our semiconductors aren't compatible with their tech, but what if we enhanced them with rare earth elements, the same ones we found in their communication devices?" They worked through the night, creating a hybrid circuit using silicon chips infused with a mixture of rare elements found in the Zethkar tech. At 4:37 a.m., they tested their creation. The hybrid circuit glowed blue, channeling alien energy for exactly 3.2 seconds before burning out. "It worked," Garcia shouted, waking Murphy, who had fallen asleep at his desk. "For 3 seconds," Murphy pointed out. "But that proves it's possible," Peters argued. "We just need to refine it." Keith Johnson, a NASA engineer assigned to the project, had been quietly listening. "I have an idea," he said. "That orbital station we were building before all this happened. Liberty. Its framework is already in space. What if instead of starting from scratch, we use Liberty as the skeleton for our new ship?" Murphy considered this. "The superstructure is mostly titanium and carbon composites. Would that work with the alien tech?" "With these new hybrid circuits as interface points?" "I think so," Garcia said. Dr. Wells ran a quick simulation on her AI system. "According to my calculations, if we use Liberty as our base and focus all resources on completing the hybrid integration, we might have a functioning prototype ready with." She paused, just days to spare before the Voidborn arrive. Murphy stood up, new determination in his eyes. "Then we have our plan. Starting tomorrow, Project Phoenix enters its next phase. The Liberty Project. The Liberty Project transformed the half-built space station into the busiest construction site in human history. Rockets launched daily from every major space agency on Earth, carrying materials, equipment, and workers to the growing structure in orbit. Colonel Murphy coordinated operations from the Ground Control Center in Nevada, while Commander Lisa Daniels took charge of the construction in space. Her military training and engineering background made her the perfect choice to oversee the complex work. "How's it looking up there?" Murphy asked during their daily video call. Lisa's face on the screen looked tired but determined. We've completed the main hull integration. Garcia's hybrid circuits are holding, but we need more of them. The power requirements are massive. In the background, teams of engineers in spacesuits worked on connecting huge panels to the station's frame. The once simple structure now had a distinctive shape, part human design, part alien influence. Meanwhile, at the Nevada facility, Dr. Nathan Gray was making an unexpected discovery. "Look at these readings," he said to Dr. Peters, pointing at his monitor. "Every time we test the phase shift component with a human operator nearby, the energy pattern stabilizes." Peters studied the data. "That can't be coincidence. Run it again with no one in the room." They repeated the test remotely. The energy pattern was chaotic and quickly dissipated. "Now ask someone to stand near it while we run the test," Gray suggested. When a technician stood near the device during the next test, the energy pattern became more stable, though still unpredictable. "It's responding to human presence," Gray said, excitement in his voice. I think human neural patterns are somehow compatible with this technology." He rushed to share his findings with Murphy and the team. The implications were clear but troubling. The ship would need human pilots directly connected to its systems. "We need to find people who are highly compatible with the technology," Murphy decided. "Start testing volunteers immediately." Within days, a program began to test human pilots for compatibility with the alien systems. Military pilots, astronauts, and civilian volunteers all stepped forward. Most showed minimal compatibility, but a few demonstrated promising results. One candidate stood out above all others. Angela Martinez, a former Air Force test pilot, showed extraordinary synchronization rates with the hybrid controls. "It's like the system responds to my thoughts," she explained after her first test. "I can feel the energy moving, almost like it's part of me." The medical team, led by the Zethkar physician Kruval, monitored these tests with concern. "Human biology is not designed for this kind of integration," Kruval warned. "The phase shift energy could permanently alter her cellular structure." When told of the risks, Martinez didn't hesitate. "We have 3 months before the Voidborn arrive. I'll take my chances." As Liberty took shape in orbit, the first components of the phase shift drive were carefully installed at its core. Each piece had to be perfectly aligned, with human-alien hybrid circuits serving as the interface between the two technologies. Garcia worked alongside the construction teams in space, personally overseeing the installation of each critical component. "The power levels are stable," she reported during a test of the drive at minimal power. 5% capacity and holding. The moment of truth came when Martinez took control of Liberty for its first real test. She sat in a specially designed chair surrounded by interface panels, neural sensors attached to her temples. "All systems go," she reported. "Beginning phase shift test at 5% power." Energy surged through the ship. For 3 seconds, Liberty completely disappeared from all sensors and visual observation. Then it reappeared exactly where it had been. The command center erupted in cheers. Murphy allowed himself a small smile of relief. "It works." But their celebration was cut short by an urgent message from the lunar outpost. "Colonel, we've detected Voidborn ships entering the inner solar system. They're moving fast, much faster than we predicted." Murphy's face hardened. "How long do we have?" "At their current speed, 2 weeks, sir." "They're 2 weeks ahead of schedule." Liberty was only 76% complete. The Voidborn Vanguard arrived exactly as predicted. 3 massive black ships entered Earth orbit, their jagged shapes like knives against the blue planet below. They were destroyers, advanced scouts for the main fleet. On Earth, Colonel Murphy gathered his team for an emergency meeting. "Liberty is only 76% complete. What can we do in 2 days?" Garcia shook her head. "The weapon systems are barely functional. We're missing key power conduits, and the phase shift drive is only tested at 5% capacity." "What about 10%?" Murphy asked. "Untested. Potentially unstable," she replied. Dr. Wells looked up from her tablet. "My simulations show even at partial capacity, Liberty has capabilities beyond anything we've built before." The room fell silent as they considered their limited options. Earth's conventional defenses, missiles, fighter jets, orbital platforms, would be useless against the void-born technology. "I'll pilot Liberty," Martine said, stepping forward. "Even unfinished, it's our only chance." The engineering team protested. The risks were too great. The ship wasn't ready. But Martinez stood firm. "Every hour we wait, those ships get closer to launching an attack on Earth. We have to try." Murphy studied her face, seeing the determination in her eyes. Finally, he nodded. "Prepare Liberty for combat. We launch in 6 hours." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Garcia and Peters worked frantically to complete the weapons systems, while Johnson finished the power conduits that would channel energy to the ship's critical systems. In orbit, Commander Daniels supervised the final preparations. "We're loading the last of the hybrid circuits now," she reported. "But I have to warn you, this ship is held together with hope and duct tape in some sections." Martinez suited up in a specially designed flight suit lined with neural sensors. As she was escorted to the shuttle that would take her to Liberty, Dr. Gray gave her final instructions. "Remember, the phase shift is unstable above 5%. Use it sparingly, just to evade their weapons." Liberty was beautiful in a strange way. Part human design, part alien technology. Its hull gleamed in the sunlight as Martinez approached. Once aboard, she strapped herself into the pilot's chair and felt the neural connections activate. "Systems online," she reported. "I can feel the ship. It's like it's part of me." On Earth, in control centers around the world, humans watched their screens with a mixture of hope and fear. The 3 void-born destroyers had taken up positions around the planet, seemingly preparing for a coordinated attack. "Liberty is ready," Murphy said over the comm. "Engage at your discretion, Martinez." Martinez took a deep breath and pushed the ship forward. Liberty responded instantly, moving with a grace that belied its unfinished state. She guided it directly toward the nearest void-born destroyer. The enemy ship detected Liberty and fired a purple energy beam. Martinez activated the phase shift at 5%, and for a brief moment, Liberty partially disappeared from normal space. The beam passed harmlessly through where it had been. When Liberty reappeared, it was within firing range. Martinez triggered the hybrid weapons Garcia had finished just hours earlier. Streams of blue-white energy tore through the void-born shields, ripping holes in the black hull. The destroyer tried to retreat, but Martinez stayed with it, firing again and again until the alien ship exploded in a silent flash of light. 1 down, 2 to go. The second destroyer approached more cautiously, firing multiple beams in a pattern designed to catch Liberty no matter where it reappeared. 1 beam hit Liberty's port side, sending cascades of electricity through the ship's systems. Warning alarms blared as the power core began to fluctuate wildly. "Core destabilizing," Garcia shouted over the comm. "Martinez, you need to reduce power now." But Martinez couldn't hear her. The neural connection between her and the ship had deepened. She could feel Liberty's pain as if it were her own. Acting on instinct, she rerouted power through her own nervous system, using her body as a conduit to stabilize the core. The pain was excruciating, but it worked. Liberty's systems stabilized, and Martinez fired all weapons at the second destroyer. It broke apart under the onslaught, debris scattering across Earth's orbit. The third destroyer, seeing the fate of its companions, turned and accelerated away from Earth. Before it jumped to faster than light speed, it broadcast a message. "The main fleet comes. This world will burn." Inside Liberty, Martinez slumped unconscious in her chair, her body still connected to the ship's systems. The neural link had saved them all, but at what cost? 2 weeks passed since the battle with the void-born destroyers. Liberty floated in Earth orbit, surrounded by repair ships and construction crews working around the clock. The ship had taken heavy damage, but humanity had won its first victory against the alien threat. In the medical bay of the Nevada facility, Angela Martinez finally opened her eyes. Doctors had been worried she might never wake up. The neural connection with Liberty had pushed her body beyond normal human limits. "How long was I out?" she asked, her voice weak. Dr. Gray, who had been checking her vital signs, looked relieved. "Almost 2 weeks. You gave us quite a scare." Martinez tried to sit up, but found her movements strangely fast, almost too quick for her own mind to process. "Something's different," she said, looking at her hands. "I feel changed." Gray nodded carefully. "The phase shift energy altered your cellular structure when you channeled it through your nervous system. Your reflexes, sensory perception, reaction time, they've all been enhanced. Is it permanent?" "We believe so," he answered honestly. Before they could discuss it further, Colonel Murphy entered the room. Despite the victory, his face remained grim. "Good to see you awake, Martinez. We need to talk." While Martinez had been unconscious, the team had been working with Galactic to understand the full potential of the phase shift technology. The Zethkar engineer had finally shared the complete specifications for the weapons system that the drive was designed to power. "Galactic has shown us plans for the complete superweapon," Murphy explained. "According to him, the phase shift drive we've been using is only a component of a much larger system." Garcia, who had followed Murphy into the room, added, "With the full system, we could generate enough energy to destroy an entire fleet at once." "What's the catch?" Martinez asked, sensing there was more to the story. The room fell silent for a moment before Murphy answered. "The energy requirements would be lethal to any pilot connected to the system. No human could survive channeling that much power." Dr. Wells had been running simulations on the complete system. Her eye calculations confirmed what Galactic had told them. The superweapon could indeed destroy the main Voidborn fleet, but the neural load would kill whoever piloted it. Word of this development spread, and soon the entire world was debating what to do. Should they attempt to build the full weapon, knowing it would mean a suicide mission for whoever piloted it? Or should they focus on improving Liberty's existing capabilities and hope it would be enough? The decision became clearer when the Zethkar navigator, Vensha, addressed a special meeting of world leaders. "My species has been at war with the Voidborn for centuries," he explained. "They practice planetary extinction as standard protocol for any civilization that resists them. If they reach your world with their main fleet, they will not stop until every human is dead." The grim news settled heavily on the assembly. By unanimous vote, the world's governments agreed to complete the superweapon, even knowing the cost. As the meeting ended, Martinez quietly slipped away. No one noticed as she entered the secure area where the weapon specifications were stored. She studied them carefully, committing every detail to memory. Her enhanced mind processed the information faster than any normal human could. She had made her decision. The next morning, Colonel Murphy was surprised to find a handwritten note on his desk. It was from Martinez. "I'm volunteering for the mission. Don't try to talk me out of it. The changes to my body make me the only logical choice. I'm more in tune with Liberty than anyone else could be. If someone has to make this sacrifice, it should be me." Murphy read the note twice, then slowly folded it and put it in his pocket. He had suspected this would happen, but still hoped for another way. Outside, the sky was clear blue, peaceful. No one looking up would know that in just 13 days, the main Voidborn fleet would arrive. 12 massive warships and dozens of smaller vessels, all intent on humanity's destruction. The countdown to humanity's final stand had begun. The Voidborn fleet arrived exactly as predicted. 12 massive warships and dozens of smaller vessels appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their black, jagged shapes blocked out the stars behind them as they moved toward Earth with cold purpose. Liberty waited in high orbit, now fully equipped with the complete superweapon system. The ship looked different. Its hull pulsed with blue energy lines, and its shape seemed to shift slightly when viewed from different angles. It was neither fully human nor fully alien technology anymore, but something new. Inside the pilot chamber, Angela Martinez took her place one final time. The neural interface had been modified to handle the massive energy flow that would come with activating the superweapon. Everyone knew what this meant for her. "All systems ready," she reported, her voice calm despite what lay ahead. On Earth, Colonel Murphy and Commander Daniels coordinated the planet's conventional defenses. Fighter jets, missiles, and orbital platforms would serve as a distraction, drawing Voidborn attention while Liberty moved into position. "Remember the plan," Murphy said over the secure channel. "You only get one shot at this. The weapon needs to charge fully before firing." "Understood," Martins replied. As the Voidborn fleet entered attack range, Earth's defenses opened fire. Thousands of missiles streaked upward from launch sites around the planet. Fighter squadrons engaged the smaller enemy vessels. It was like throwing stones at tanks, but it served its purpose. The Voidborn spread out to deal with these minor threats. Martinez guided Liberty toward the center of the Voidborn formation. The ship's phase shift drive allowed it to flicker in and out of normal space, making it nearly impossible to hit. She could feel the super weapon charging, drawing energy through her body. The pain was intense, but she pushed through it. "Weapon at 60%, she reported, her voice strained. Suddenly, the largest Voidborn ship, the flagship, turned its attention to Liberty. It fired a concentrated beam of purple energy that caught Liberty mid-phase. The ship shuddered violently. "Taking damage," Martinez gasped. "Hull breach in Section 4. She pushed Liberty harder, moving it closer to the center of the enemy fleet. 80% charged. The Voidborn flagship opened a communication channel. A deep, echoing voice filled the command centers on Earth and Liberty's bridge. "Your resistance is futile but impressive," the Voidborn commander said. "We offer terms. Surrender the Zethkar and their phase shift technology, and we will spare your planet." On Earth, people waited breathlessly for humanity's response. Murphy looked to the political leaders gathered in the command center. They all nodded. "No deal," Murphy replied. Inside Liberty, the superweapon reached 95% charge. Martinez felt her consciousness spreading throughout the ship's systems. The line between human and machine blurred as the neural interface went beyond its design limits. 100%, she whispered, though no one could hear her now. Her voice no longer came from her body, but from the ship itself. Martinez activated the weapon at full capacity. A wave of blue-white energy radiated outward from Liberty in an expanding sphere. As it touched each Voidborn ship, they began to phase partially out of normal space. Their atomic structures became unstable, caught between dimensions. One by one, the Voidborn vessels tore themselves apart, unable to maintain cohesion while half-phased. The flagship was the last to go, breaking apart in a massive silent explosion. The energy wave dissipated. Liberty went dark, drifting silently among the debris of the destroyed fleet. Rescue teams reached the ship hours later. They found it transformed, its interior systems rearranged in ways they couldn't understand. Of Martinez's physical body, there was no sign, but when the first technician touched a console, the ship hummed to life, and a familiar voice spoke through its communication systems. "I'm still here," Martine said, her consciousness somehow preserved within Liberty's systems. "The ship and I. We've become something new." 2 days later, a message arrived from deep space. The Galactic Concordat had detected the destruction of the Voidborn fleet. They offered humanity membership in their alliance, impressed by what they had achieved. As Earth celebrated its survival, Liberty, now renamed Phoenix, was moved to a construction dock. It would become the first of Earth's new defense fleet, with Martinez as its living core, guardian of humanity's future among the stars. The ship that began as alien wreckage had become humanity's greatest achievement, and its passage to the stars